What's going on, guys, and welcome to another Doctor Who video. Today I'm going to be ranking all of Series 8's episodes from worst to best. This was Peter Capaldi's first series as the 12th Doctor, and in my opinion it was just an okay series. It's also the first series to go from 13 episodes to 12. Remember, this is my opinion, but I'd love to hear yours in the comments below. Anyway, let's get started. Number 12. In the Forest of the Night. Now this is utter garbage. The entire Earth becomes covered in trees overnight and no one knows how or why. It's revealed that Meeb, a child in Clara and Danny's class, has these flies flying around her all the time, and it turns out that they are the ones that created the trees. They did this in order to save the Earth from a solar flare, but the government is trying to destroy the trees, which will cause the Earth's destruction. The Doctor, along with all these annoying kids, end up broadcasting a message to tell people what is happening and not to kill the trees. Then the solar flare hits, the trees save the Earth, and it's all over. The first issue here is that you could have taken the Doctor out of the story completely and it wouldn't change. The second is that there is no villain whatsoever, apart from a tiger that shows up because hey, we needed some action. And thirdly, this is just so boring I can probably fall asleep watching this at any time. Number 11. Kill the Moon. Ah yes, another story with a terrible child actor. This story is about a bunch of alien spiders that are living on the moon. A team of explorers went up to the moon but were killed, so a new expedition was made to find out what happened. One of Clara's students found out about the TARDIS in the previous episode, so the Doctor was forced to take her on a trip in this one. She pretty much does nothing in this story apart from annoy the hell out of everyone and make stupid jokes that are supposed to be relatable. The spooky scenes where they're being watched by a spider are great and intense, and when I blocked the kid from my mind, the episode was pretty interesting up until the final part. The Doctor is a huge dick to Clara and basically leaves her with a horrible decision. The turning your lights on thing doesn't make sense, and then the reality that the moon has been an alien egg this whole time completely tops it off. What a disastrous end. Number 10. The Caretaker. This is another episode that's just plain boring. It takes place at Coal Hill School, which is great to see again, but the story is sadly primarily about Clara and Danny's awkward relationship. The whole thing is about Clara trying to balance her life, travelling in time and space with the Doctor, and living a normal life on Earth with Danny. Now, I don't hate Danny like most people, but I just don't care about him enough for this story to really do anything for me. If this was, say, Rose and Mickey, I wouldn't mind it because I liked Mickey, but Danny is just an uninteresting, bland character. I quite like the Doctor pretending to be the Caretaker though. Peter Capaldi does an amazing performance and has some funny lines. It's just a shame he gets sidelined and the villain does too. The Scovox Blitzer is a really cool looking alien, but it's barely used. Some stories work with little to no threat, but I feel like this one was just boring and it wasted a pretty new and interesting villain. Number 9. Listen. Now this is an episode that seems to get a lot of praise and I don't see why. It starts off with some good old Clara and Danny stuff and then goes into the Doctor delivering a pretty good speech about perfect hiding and fear. One thing I can praise Stephen Moffat for is the speeches he writes because they're always really good. Clara then controls the TARDIS with her thoughts, but she's thinking about Danny, so they are taken to him when he was younger. The whole thing with the monster under the bed was pretty creepy, and the fact that we never get to actually see it also adds to the scare factor. It's when we go into space and find Awesome Pink that things start going downhill. Danny's death that will occur in a few episodes' time means that Awesome Pink will never have existed, and the part with Clara talking to the Doctor as a child at the end is terrible. Yes, her speech is great, but it once again makes Clara way too important in the Doctor's life, which I absolutely despise. Number 8. Death in Heaven. This is the second part of the two-part finale for Series 8. It carries on from the previous episode where Missy was revealed to be the newly regenerated Master and Clara was trapped with the Cyberman. Missy ends up getting captured by UNIT and put on a plane, but she manages to escape and kills Osgood in the process. After the plane is attacked and everyone is down on the graveyard, Missy reveals that she, for some reason, wants to give the Doctor an army of Cybermen to fight along his side and she wants to be his friend again. Of course, the Doctor declines this and reveals that Danny, who is now a Cyberman that still has his emotions, can save the day by once again becoming a soldier and flying up to the sky and destroying the cyber pollen clouds by exploding all of the Cybermen. I thought it was pretty stupid that Danny still had emotions due to him not wanting to remove them. Surely they would force him to remove them, as that's the whole point of a Cyberman. Anyway, this episode in my opinion underused the Cyberman and has some silly moments I didn't like. Number 7. Robot of Sherwood. Now this is one of the more goofy episodes in the series, and for me, it takes it a step too far. The Doctor and Clara come across Robin Hood, but the Doctor doesn't believe he's real. Robin Hood then takes part in an archery competition against the Sheriff of Nottingham, but it's stopped when the Doctor blows up the target and they're all arrested. Eventually, it's revealed that the Sheriff is trying to fix the spaceship that crashed to Earth, and he has all these robot minions with him. Robin finally defeats the sheriff in a sword fight, and then they destroy the ship along with all the robots on board. The main thing that puts me off this episode is the silly nature of it. I don't mind silly stories when they're done right, but this one just comes off as annoying. The best example of this is when the Doctor, Clara and Robin are in the jail cell and the Doctor and Robin are arguing. It comes off as really childish and just annoys me. The story isn't interesting enough to make it any better either. Number 6. Time Heist. This story seems to get a lot of flack when I actually think it's okay. It's about the Doctor, Clara, Psi and Cybra coming together and robbing a space bank. Someone or something called the Architect got them to agree to doing this, but they don't remember. It's found out that this bank is guarded by the Teller, an alien that turns your brain into soup if you are caught doing something illegal. This monster is new to the series and I find it to be actually pretty cool. After finding 2 of the 3 items they need, the Doctor manages to get his memory back by getting the Teller to scan him, and it's revealed that he was the one that set this up. The woman in charge of the bank, Madame Carabraxis, reveals that she locked up the Teller's mate so that it would cooperate. It turns out that the Teller's mate is the final part they need to complete the mission, and the Doctor takes them both to a planet where they are free to live peacefully. That scene at the end looks so ridiculous, but I honestly think the episode itself is decent. Number 5. Dark Water. We now get to part 1 of the 2-part finale, and as you can see, I like this part much more. It starts dramatically with Danny's death and then shows Clara throwing TARDIS keys into lava, trying to make the Doctor save him. The scene was gripping and I thought both Peter and Jenna did great performances. They eventually go to this facility where there are skeletons inside blue liquid. They find Missy here and also Dr. Chang, who tells them that this blue liquid only shows you organic material. Alongside all this, we see Danny being consulted about his death. I thought this was a pretty cool thing to do, and I actually felt for Danny when a little boy he accidentally kills while in battle showed up. His character actually became better after his death, which is pretty funny. Anyway, the blue liquid drains from the containers and the skeletons are revealed as Cybermen. Missy also reveals that she's the Master. I thought this was a gripping end to a pretty decent episode. Too bad Death in Heaven wasn't as good. Number 4. Deep Breath. This is the first episode in the series and it's actually pretty good. The Doctor has just regenerated and he's accidentally transported a dinosaur with him into Victorian London. This dinosaur gets killed fairly early on, which I thought was a bit disappointing, but oh well. The main villain for this story is the Clockwork Robots, which I was really happy about because we hadn't seen them since series 2. The robots didn't actually do much to be honest, but the scenes with them were good fun and Capaldi was also great. This was his first episode as the Doctor and he absolutely smashed it out of the park. The Doctor was all silly and strange after regenerating and Peter did such a good job. He also did great when he became more serious towards the end of the episode. I thought Clara getting grumpy about him regenerating was a bit silly because she knew he could do this, but that's my only real concern. This was not really a strong episode, story-wise, but a nice fun one to start off with a new Doctor. Number 3. Into the Dalek. I actually enjoyed this one more than I expected when I rewatched it recently. It's about a Dalek that has supposedly turned good and the Doctor, Clara and a couple of soldiers are miniaturized and sent inside the Dalek to see what's wrong. They find a crack in the power center and the Doctor seals it up, only for the Dalek to realize its true identity. Surely he saw this coming, but what happens next I really like. The Doctor connects his mind with the Daleks to show it how beautiful the universe is, but it grafts onto the Doctor's hatred of the Daleks. This causes the Dalek to also hate the Daleks and he destroys his own race. I thought this was all very fun and exciting to watch, but there was just one problem. The episode is so similar to Series 1 episode Dalek that it does lose some points for that. Putting that aside however, the episode is a good one for the 12th Doctor's first trip and has lots of great moments. Number 2. Flatline. Considering this episode is basically Clara becoming the Doctor, I'm surprised I like it so much. The Doctor gets trapped inside the TARDIS after the outside has shrunk dramatically. He sends Clara out to investigate and she finds out about these creatures who drag people into walls, floors and ceilings and turn them into 2D monsters. The flickering 2D design of these monsters are something very different and they work really well. There are also some really funny moments in this one, like when Clara pulls an axe out of the handbag the Doctor passes to her from inside the tiny TARDIS. It also introduces Rigsy, who is a character that would return in Series 9, and he's alright. I thought the gadget known as the 2DIS was also pretty cool. It restores dimensions and Clara uses it to make 2D door handles back into 3D. It's got a great name and it's just a nice addition to the gadgets in the show. All round, I really enjoyed this episode. Number 1. Mummy on the Orient Express. This one just has to be at number 1. It's actually written by Jamie Matheson, who also wrote Flatline, so it's safe to say that I like his writing. The Doctor and Clara land aboard the Orient Express, but it's a space one instead of the real one. We find out that people are mysteriously dying on the train, but it's in a strange way. They panic for 66 seconds and then just drop dead. It's soon revealed that it's an Egyptian mummy that's killing these people, and the only person that can see it is the one that's about to die. We then find out that the train is a scientific laboratory and most of the passengers are scientists. A computer program called Gus has organised all of this, and now they must figure out how to stop the mummy. The Doctor realises that the mummy is a dead soldier and he surrenders to him in order to defeat him. This works and everyone on board the ship is teleported to safety. This episode is just a lot of fun, and the only problem with it is that Clara ended up deciding to stay travelling instead of leaving. Well, there we have it. That was my ranking for the series 8 episodes. I don't hate this series as much as some people, but it still isn't great. It has some of Capaldi's best stories, but also some of his worst. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, please go ahead, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.